From KPRC2, this is Houston Newsmakers with Khambrel Marshall.
Good morning and welcome to this edition of Houston Newsmakers, where I'm delighted to have once again Congressman Al Green, Democrat, representing the 9th Congressional District. Good to see you, sir. We have a lot to talk about today.
Thank you. Good to be with you. Excited about it.
We always have a lot to talk about, don't we, though? We'll start with something that's not directly your area of responsibility, but it does impact all of the parents and children in your district, and that is the TEA's agency's plan to take over management of HISD. What are your thoughts when you heard that, and what are your thoughts going forward?
Very disappointed. Don't believe that it's over just yet, however, because it can't be consummated until the end of the school year. And my hope is that we can get the governor to reconsider. This is a governor who is now appointing a board who will have an appointed supervisor. The people will have very little input in terms of how these people get selected. We had an elected board. Now the governor has one person who is electing an entire school board. Next point is important. The governor is also talking about vouchers quite a bit. I see this voucher movement as a movement that will drain public schools of dollars, because attendance is the thing that determines the dollars for public schools. So if the money goes into vouchers and the governor is taking over, it can become a takedown. Bishop Dixon has said this quite a few times, a takedown of the school, which means then that it can be separated into smaller pieces. We may not see an HISD that is as large as this school system is once the governor is done with it, because the governor, quite frankly, is interested in privatizing. He's interested in vouchers. So
I know after the announcement, there was a predictable stream of elected officials and others, community activists, who were against the takeover move, especially Wheatley High School, which was the impetus for the initial takedown. It triggered this thing in the first place. It's shown improvement, along with other schools as well. But here are some of the comments that was being said after the announcement.
There's been a long time failure by HISD, and the victims of that failure are the students.
Houston has many strengths. You've got a lot of strong schools. You've got a lot of kids that are extremely well served in Houston ISD. But you also have, unfortunately, a number of students who are not being well served in the district. They just don't have access to the same kinds of opportunities to achieve success. Ultimately, it's a school board that is responsible for ensuring the structures and supports are in place to support all kids, and that's the reason for this action.
It is now a B-rated district. HISD teachers, students, and parents have worked so hard. They have worked so hard to reduce the number of D&F campuses from 58 to 9. HISD has fewer D&F campuses than Dallas ISD. Wheatley is academically acceptable and only 2 points away from a B rating. They recently received a 78% grade.
All that's very interesting. I find it very fascinating. I also looked at the law, and the law says that the commissioner could have closed a school or appointed a board of managers. It sounds like the law itself is the issue as opposed to the people who are implementing the law.
Well, the law is a part of the issue. We should not have a law that allows unelected persons to come in and take over a school that is succeeding. The school district has a B average, B plus by many standards. Wheatley High School is passing. There is no reason to do this. We have other ISDs that are not performing to the same extent as this ISD, and they're not being taken over or taken down. And I think it ultimately will be a takedown. Let me share this with you. This is important. I'm an integrationist. I believe in an integrated society. I'm not a separatist. And my fear is all of this takedown and this voucherizing of schools can lead to more separation in society. We have enough separation. We need to learn to live together. Living apart from each other only creates chasms in other aspects of our lives that we cannot cross. Let's try to get people to live together. I'm an integrationist.
Well, I know that you're optimistic that something can change with the HISD decision at this point, because it is not scheduled to take effect until June. So we'll keep monitoring that and see what happens going forward.
Thank you.
Let's talk about another big issue that is on the local and national scene here, and that's the failure of several banks in the last week. Something that's been sending shockwaves through the banking industry, shaking the confidence of bank customers as well. Silicon Valley Bank was the first of the two this past weekend. The president came out to speak about it, saying that our banking system is sound. You're a member of the House Committee on Financial Services, the ranking member of the Oversight and Investigations Committee. What can you tell me about any conversations that you're having about the concerns that are out there and what can be done to kind of make sure that the banking system stays sound, and about the confidence level that people are expressing?
Well, I think the president did the right thing to allay the consternation that a good many people have had when he said that, look, your money's going to be secured if you're a depositor. Right now, the law says that if you have $250,000 or less, the FDIC insures. But the president has gone beyond that with the Treasury and the Fed, and they've worked out a means by which deposits are insured, which is a good thing. Now, deposits should be separated from investors.
Right.
Investors are the people who decided that they would take a risk and buy into a given bank. But this is important to note, that what happened with Silicon Valley was they had more than 90% of their depositors above the $250,000 limit. That is what caused a lot of consternation. And with this new age of being able to do things electronically, when people started to make this run on the bank, they were able to do it quickly. They could do in hours what could have taken days or weeks, which would have given time for things to sort of settle. But you couldn't have that time because of the electronic process. The digital age had an impact on this process. But we ought to kiss the ground that President Biden walks on, because he averted what could have been a crisis.
Some have said that some regulations that were relaxed during one of the previous administrations should be put back into place. Are you interested in adding more regulations in to make sure something like this doesn't happen again, or is that what's necessary?
This is restoration of legislation. About 5 years ago, Congress, I did not vote for it, Congress voted to remove the stress test from banks that were at $50 billion and above. We moved that line to $250 billion. When we moved it to $250 billion, that eliminated Silicon Valley Bank. And when we eliminated them, the stress test that they would have taken, which may have revealed what we're seeing now, was not done because they're exempt from the stress test. I think we have to bring it back down to the $50 billion level. This is investor protection when we do this. We protect the depositors with the FDIC. We protect the investors with what we're doing on the front end to have regulations to make sure that the banks are sound at all times.
We'll keep track of that. I know a lot of people are still nervous. So from your mouth to God's ears and Congress, we'll see what happens with that.